Yeah, what's going on, everybody? It is Chibso here. Bit of rant time. Not shitless rant, but a rant nonetheless. Today I want to talk about something that I've been following for the last couple of days, on Twitter specifically. The hashtag freedom of speech, at least here in Australia, has been trending. And basically, if you're not Australian, I would recommend still watching this because it does pertain to some things that are happening in the US as well. But it has to do with racial discrimination. And as far as if I'm understanding correctly, an amendment that is being debated in Parliament to the 18C Racial Discrimination Act here in Australia, which is basically going to errata one line specifically, changing the law from incitement or insult actions that cause or speech that causes insult, offence, or something else. And they're going to change those nebulous and rather subjective terms to harass, which I think still is a bit of a subjective term, but I think it's much more reasonable for a law like that when you're considering prosecuting people for speech, which I'm not in favor of in any way, shape, or form, by the way. I think that hate speech laws are incredibly flawed and incredibly stupid. I don't believe that censoring hate speech, which in itself is a subjective sort of, what's the fucking word? It's a subjective thing. It is what you define as hate might not be what other people define as hate. Some people might think that they're hateful, and I'll probably agree with you that it's hateful. Hateful things might be for the greater good, even though most of us would agree they're not. I mean, I think that racists are pretty hateful. I think that racist speech is pretty hateful, but I do not believe that banning it is the right thing to do. And I don't think that banning it or prohibiting it is not only. I not only don't think it's not the right thing to do, but I believe it's completely ineffective in actually combating it. Let me explain what I mean here. There's a case that I remember. I remember hearing about this a while back. I think it had to do with NAMBLA, which is, the sort of pedophile advocacy group in America. Guys want to fuck young boys and shit like that. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the name. But basically, they were censored for a long time. And everyone thought that was the good thing to do. Yeah, keep these fucking disgusting people out of our sight. Yes, good idea. But then I believe one TV station let some head of that organization on to speak about who they were and what their objectives were. And obviously that station was, boycott. How dare you allow this disgusting piece of shit on our station, etc., etc. But after they did that, that effectively destroyed NAMBLA, or whoever it was. I'm pretty sure it was NAMBLA, but I'm not entirely sure. By letting that person speak, letting that person spew their bad ideas on national television for everybody to see, it effectively buried them. Because now lots of people knew about it, lots of people have heard about it, lots of people understand what they're about, and lots of people, including me, look at that and think, no, fuck right off, mate. None of that shit. Get out of here. And that's a really telling thing, actually. I'm an atheist, as a lot of you probably know. And I sort of went through my fedora tipping phase in year 11, year 12. So a couple of years ago, actually. I'm only 20 now. But I had a chaplain in school who I would constantly argue with, but I went to a religious school. Not hyper-religious school, but still religious school. And we used to argue quite a bit. But he was not my favorite teacher, but he's probably the one I got along with the most, because once we were done arguing, we were just able to chill, talk about things, and, just sort of enjoy each other's company as people. We had our differences, theologically, but in the end, we still saw each other as people. We could still interact. And I remember one conversation that we were having, because at that time, I was looking at other faith schools in South Australia and seeing how shitty they are, and seeing how different they were to the school that I went to, which, despite being quite bigger than a lot of these other faith schools, was actually far more, I guess you could say, liberal in how they acted. They allowed free speech a lot more, whereas I'd look at sort of the statements and rules and guidelines of other faith schools, and I'd see, like, no, don't say anything bad about religion, keep it to yourself, keep it all inside, fuck you, no. The idea was like, no, your views don't matter. It's the views of the school that matters. And you might think, oh, well, in that case, just go to a different school. But, I mean, if you're a fucking 15, 16-year-old kid, I mean, it's not like you really have that much of a choice. So I never liked that. But one conversation I remember having with this chaplain is I was talking about this to him, and I was talking about how, you know, how grateful I am that the school that I was going to actually allowed students to speak their minds on different things and have debate with teachers, and the teachers were quite receptive to it, and how much I really appreciated that, and how much it sort of made me. I never liked school to begin with. I never liked studying. I never liked the work they put out. I thought it was all pointless mostly. But that one, I enjoyed that part of school. And I said to him, you know, I think that both of us agree that we both have different opinions, and we should both be allowed to put those opinions out there. Because at the end of the day, I asked him, you know, do you believe in, you know, the open marketplace of ideas, that good ideas will eventually float to the top and that bad ideas will eventually float to the bottom? And he said, yes, I do. I said, okay, well, you think you have a good idea? You think that, you know, Christianity is correct and you've got the facts to prove it? You think so? I think that it's not correct. I don't think there is a God. I think the whole thing is just nonsensical, no matter what religion you believe in. And I believe that that's the right thing. And I believe that that will eventually come to the top in time, as we're seeing religiosity decline constantly throughout the world, with the exception of Islam, unfortunately. But that's a topic for another video. The point is, we both thought that our ideas were good. We both thought that we had the right ideas. We both thought they were correct. We both thought that our arguments were good. And we both thought that if we both put our ideas out there, that eventually, if we had the good ideas, they'd rise to the top. And if our ideas were bad, maybe we'd have to change them. But we both thought they were good. And because we thought that good ideas would rise to the top and that bad ideas would fall to the bottom, why would we need to censor each other? What's the point? Why not let the other person speak? If you think that your ideas are so good and that your ideas will eventually transcend the bad ideas out there, why silence other people? That shows weakness. That shows that your ideas cannot hold up on their own. It shows that they need the power of the state or some authoritarian board to be able to help you get there. But if your ideas are good enough, if you have faith in that system, do you really need that? Do you really need to censor the opposing opinion? Okay? I fucking hate racists as much as anyone, man. Okay? And before you say I don't know anything about that, I'm a Greek Australian. Okay? I'm a wog. Look at this fucking beard right here. 6 months. 6 months. My Australian friends, they can't grow this in fucking 6 years. But 6 months, alright? And yeah, I'm not as much as fucking black people or Asian people or anything like that, but I've suffered racial discrimination before. It's happened. But, I don't know, maybe it's just because my family's different. We call ourselves wogs. We grew up watching, you know, the Wog Boy and all that shit. We love the label. When people call us wogs, we appreciate it almost. We take it as a compliment. But the thing is, even if we got offended by it, what would be the point in shutting people up? It's not going to change their mind. It's not going to make their ideas or their opinions any different. It's not going to make the way they vote based on those prejudicial ideas or the way that they treat us based on those prejudicial ideas any different. They're just going to keep it inside, and it's going to fucking fester there. Alright? And it's going to come out at some later date, and it's not going to be pretty for us. So why the fuck let them do that? Why have to live life wondering if the people around you hate you, when you can figure out by the first thing they say to you if they hate you or not, and you can figure out that person's a fucking cunt, I want nothing to do with them. You can't do that if you shut them up. You can't expose bad ideas if you force them underground. There's no way. You can't do it. Then you just have people pretending and pretending to like each other and pretending to get along. If there's one thing that I fucking hate, it's when people pretend. The amendment to this bill, or the amendment to this act that I'm seeing, I think it makes a lot of sense. I would be in favor of simply just doing away with any form of a hate speech law or hate speech act. I think they're pointless. I think that we should just let these bad ideas express themselves. And you know what? If somebody is fucking harassing you, then that's harassment. You don't need a fucking racial discrimination act to deal with that. You need a harassment law, which we have, and which obviously we want. If you got someone fucking following you down the street corner, constantly throwing racial slurs at you, that's harassment. You don't need a fucking subsection called racial harassment that gets a harsher penalty. Just harassment. Okay? I do not understand why people are so up in arms about this. People are up in arms about changing the nebulous wording of a bill to slightly less nebulous wording. Those of you who are concerned about racism, this helps you. This helps all of us. Because by letting these people speak their minds, you can identify the people you do not want to associate with. You can identify the people that you wish to condemn and you wish to fight against, not violently, but you wish to engage in rhetoric against. You wish to fight back against. You can identify these people. They won't fester in the fucking shadows and fucking spread this shit among their family and indoctrinate their kids with this shit. You know what? And that's what happens. That's what we see in, for example, Muslim communities with Muslim migrants all around the world. We see that shit. They form little cabals. They get together. Can't say this shit in public. But hey, we fucking hate the Jews. Yeah, fuck those Jews. They're responsible for everything. Now, you see that. And it festers in a family. And it's carried down. And some people get out and they're ostracized. And they speak about it. But we ignore it because we don't see it. We have hate speech laws. They can't say that. We're fine. They can't say that, but they fucking think it. If there's one thing that nobody is ever going to be able to do, it's change the way people think with a fucking law that tells them that they cannot say or think something. That will never happen. Not in a million years. And if you are actually interested in ending racism or combating racism in this country, which I and so many other people are, then you should be in support of this. Because by letting these people speak their minds, by exposing the fact that, yeah, Australia is a bit racist. It is. It is. I'll admit that. It definitely is. Okay? But when you have people overseas asking, is Australia really that racist? I've heard Australia is pretty racist. Is it that racist? I don't really hear it. Well, maybe if we let the racists speak, then they would hear about that. And they would shame us. And then maybe we'd have to do something about it. But instead, nah. Let's put them into hiding. Let's censor them. And instead, let them fucking grow their little movements and come to power. That's all I have to say about this topic. Fuck censorship. Hate speech laws are bullshit. If you want to fight against racism or any form of discrimination, you should let hateful people speak their minds and then condemn them for it. Let them exercise their right to freedom of speech and then exercise yours against them. That's how a free society should fucking work. Anyways, guys, sorry about that. Little off topic for my usual content, but thank you all for watching if you have anyways, and I'll see you all next time.